Welcome to the Epic English channel. I'm married, Sam, and I have to tell you because we need to end this. My husband is starting to show signs of suspicion, and although I immensely enjoy your company, I can't risk my marriage. But you never wear a wedding ring. We've been together for almost 2 months, and now you drop this on me. I'm so sorry, Sam. I know I never mentioned whether I was married or not. And honestly, if a girl wants to have a little fun, she's not going to wear her diamond wedding ring. I was more than stunned as I sat on the edge of the bed in the Hilton Hotel in downtown Sacramento, California. I had met Joe, short for Josie, 2 months ago at the hotel bar. My name is Sam Medford and I work in our family grocery business in Spokane, Washington. At this time of year, I travel through several regions of Central California negotiating fruit and vegetable prices over the past 2 months. I've been coming to Sacramento about once every 10 days. During my first trip, I met Jo and we hit it off right away. She told me she worked as a sales representative for a major pharmaceutical company in Denver, and California was part of her territory. Jo was 32 compared to my 29, and she was stunningly beautiful, about 168 cm tall, with long legs, an amazing figure and strikingly bright blue eyes. I was instantly captivated by her. I need to step back for a moment and mention a couple of important details about myself. First, I'm single. I haven't met the one yet, but I'm seriously looking. I don't quickly jump into bed with any woman. Well, Jo was an exception this time. Of course, we had sex 2 hours after we met. I'm not interested in cheap flings. I want a life with a good woman, so physical attraction usually only comes after getting to know someone again. Jo was an exception, but there seemed to be something truly special about her. Secondly, I never sleep with married women. Period. End of story. I have nothing but disdain for anyone who breaks their wedding vows and promises. If you want to sleep with whomever you like, I don't mind, stay single, but the moment you say I forsake all others, you're making a vow of loyalty. Beyond my hatred for cheaters, I have no intention of becoming the target of an enraged husband. I plan to live a long life and die with my children and grandchildren gathered at my bedside, not in some dark alley, beaten to death by a man who won't tolerate someone taking what isn't theirs. This is my code, and I will never under any circumstances deviate from it. Plenty of married women have tried to flirt with me. I'm not George Clooney or Brad Pitt, but I'm in good shape, have a sharp mind and quick wit. Plus, I have a genuine interest in people, so I'm a good listener. All women love a good listener. It takes me about 2 seconds to notice a ring on a potential cheating wife. I try to be polite, but I'm always firm, something like I'm flattered. But I don't date or sleep with married women. Obviously, this earns me a killer look, or even an attempted slap. Not that I mind. It's either better than a blow to the back of the head with a baseball bat, or the realization that you're just another selfish jerk among many. I already have enough flaws as it is. So for the 6th time in 2 months, I find myself in a hotel room with a woman I thought I might fall in love with. Since we were both in town for work, it was easy to share our room and enjoy each other's company. We also visited Napa, took a historic river cruise, and went biking in the nearby mountains. The sex was incredible, but I thought it was the budding relationship that made our time together so amazing. Now I'm thinking, wow, sorry, say that again, you're married? Yes, Sam, I apologize for dropping this on you. I really like you and enjoy our time together. But I have a life with my husband and 2 young children. I can't leave them or do anything to harm my family. You have kids, 2 wonderful boys, Michael and Josh. Would you like to see their pictures? They are adorable. Hell no. I don't want to see their pictures. What the hell? Jo, how could you do this to me? How could you set me up like this? I had no idea you were married. If you told me when we first met, I might have bought you a drink, but then I would have politely walked away. I don't sleep with married women. I didn't tell you, Sam, because I didn't want to. You were handsome and intriguing. I wanted to get to know you better. I love my husband, but I needed a little excitement in my life. I would have kept seeing you if I was sure Tom would never find out. You're an amazing guy and a great lover. I must have looked like a deer caught in the headlights, a completely stunned fool, or maybe both at once. I heard some kind of gurgling sound coming from my throat, but I couldn't get a single word out. Did I just step into some kind of twisted twilight zone? Joe was making everything worse by the minute. Tom and I met in high school and were in love from the start. We fell deeply in love and have been together ever since. He's a good man, possibly the best person I know. But I found myself curious about other people outside my marriage. What would it be like to have a fling? Would another man make me love Tom more? If he was different or better, could my marriage still thrive? I felt like I had to test the waters and explore it all myself. I'm sure you understand. She kept talking for another minute or so, but all I heard was blah, blah, blah. Finally, I started to snap out of it and cut her off. Joe, please shut up for a minute, all right? Sam, there's no need to snap at me. I know this is a surprise, but I'm sure you understand that we'll probably need to end this after this weekend. We had planned to stay a few more days and visit Sonoma as it was early October and the grapevines were full of fruit. Joe was sitting in a chair across from me in our room. She got up to join me on the bed. Come on, baby. Let's enjoy the time we have together. She purged. Stop, Joe. Sit back down in the chair. I need to ask you some questions and you need to be honest with me. Do you understand? Yes. Of course I'm always honest with you, well, except for the part about being married. She said it so casually, as if she were discussing the chance of rain in tomorrow's forecast. Damn, this adulterers is out of her mind. I thought to myself, is Joe your real name? Of course, what a silly question. Are you a pharmaceutical representative from Denver? No, not exactly. I just made that up. Let me see your driver's license. What, your driver's license? Take it out of your bag and show me. She did as I asked. And another surprise hit me right between the eyes. Josie Pelps, 1012 Sons to Drive. Sacramento, California. I muttered in a state of shock. I handed her back the license as she started looking worried like a bad poker player bluffing for the pot in Texas. Holcomb? See, I told you, she said, trying to smile. I really am the Joe you met a couple of months ago with one or two exceptions. So why don't we put this awkward moment behind us and head to Sonoma? I can't wait to tour the Chateau Montalina. One or two exceptions? Are you out of your mind? You're married and have 2 kids? Those aren't exceptions. They're gaping holes big enough for a truck to drive through. How can you be such a deceiver and still look at yourself in the mirror? Don't lecture me. Sam, we had fun, and that's all that was required of us. I never begged you to sleep with me. As far as I remember, you were more than enthusiastic. I was enthusiastic because I thought you were single and someone I could get to know better, maybe even build a relationship with. If you had just worn your rings, I would never have jumped into bed with you or wasted time on this pretense of a relationship. I'm sorry you feel that way. Sam, let me ask you a question. Mrs. Phelps, what would Tom Phelps do if he found out that you're here in this room with me and that we've been having a sexual relationship for the past 2 months? For the first time, she started to look genuinely concerned. I don't know, but I'm sure it wouldn't be good. Tom is a loyal guy and he doesn't tolerate deceit or lies. I think he'd be very unhappy with both of us. But don't you see, Sam? That's exactly why we need to enjoy our weekend together before we go our separate ways. What's Tom doing this weekend? Joe, staying home with the kids, thinking his loving wife is out of town on business. The kids are with my parents and Tom's at home with a long list of yard work he plans to tackle while I'm away. And yes, he thinks I'm on a work assignment, but not involving pharmaceuticals. No, I represent the interests of a few major orange producers in the valley. Al, right, enough of that. Joe, let me make something clear. I never under any circumstances sleep with married women. I hate cheating and liars, and I have no intention of facing the wrath of some betrayed husband. If I were married and my wife did this to me, I'd be furious. You've not only put your marriage and family at risk, but also me. How could you be so foolish? As tears started forming in her eyes, a plan began to take shape in my mind. I took a deep breath and seemed to calm down. Maybe you're right, Joe. I can't believe you did this. But perhaps we should just throw caution to the wind and enjoy our last weekend together. There was a glimmer of hope in her eyes. It was clear she thought she was dodging a bullet. Oh, Sam, that makes me so happy. You're such a great guy. I know the right woman will come along and sweep you off your feet. But for the weekend, you're all mine. I know I acted foolishly, but let's leave that in the past and enjoy these 2 days. Give me a minute to freshen up, and I'll be ready to go. While Jo was in the bathroom, I entered her home address into my Maps app and silenced my phone. When we left the hotel, I headed west on Highway 80, making a quick stop at a local sporting goods store. I'll just be a minute, sit tight, I said, not giving her a chance to follow me. When I returned, I placed my small shopping bag on the floor behind the driver's seat and pulled out of the parking lot. However, instead of heading out of town, I began weaving from downtown into the Land Park neighborhood of Sacramento. For a few minutes, she didn't suspect anything, but soon she started to get nervous. Where are we going? Sam, this isn't Highway 80. I need to stop and meet with a guy I didn't get to see this week. Jo, it'll only take about 10 minutes. It was only about 3 miles, and by the time we were a few blocks from her house, she started to realize what was happening. No, Sam, you can't do this. Stop the car. Turn around, please. I'm begging. You don't do this to Tom and my boys. You can't be this cruel. By this time she was frantic, trying to grab at me, or the steering wheel. I pushed her back and reached to the back seat, pulling out my recent purchase. I pointed a gun at her. Jo, shut up and calm the hell down, I said in a controlled, threatening voice. You messed up your marriage and family, not me. I told you I would never sleep with a married woman? And I'm not about to start now. I have no idea what your husband will do, but I'm not going to spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder, wondering when he'll show up to bash my skull in. You made your bed, you lying adulteress. Now you can lie in it. She was sobbing hysterically as we pulled up to her house. A tall, good-looking guy, whom I assumed was Tom, was working in the front yard. Jo tried to crawl under the seat of the car. As I got out, he turned and walked toward me. I kept the gun low at my side, trying to keep it out of sight from any neighbors who might be nearby. Can I help you with something? He stopped as he noticed the gun in my right hand. What the? Listen, I know you, Tom Phelps, Jo Phelps' husband. If you look over my shoulder, you'll see her in the front seat of my car. Now don't do anything rash. I haven't harmed her and don't intend to. I don't want anyone to get her. But I really need you to hear me out for about 5 minutes. After that, you'll never see me again. Please don't do anything foolish. You can trust me. He must have sensed something in my demeanor that allowed him to stay calm and believe what I had just said. There was rage in his eyes, but he kept it under control. Thank you. I promise this will only take a few minutes. Jo, get out of the car and come into the house with me and Tom, looking like a woman facing her execution. Jo reluctantly got out of the car and walked toward us. I stepped back, allowing Tom to approach his wife and put an arm around her, helping her into the house. Once inside, I asked if we could go to the kitchen so they could sit down. I stood there, keeping the gun pointed at both of them. Tom, my name is Sam, and about 2 months ago, I met Jo at the bar of the Hilton Hotel downtown. She told me she was a pharmaceutical representative from Denver. Jo wasn't wearing a wedding ring. At these words, Tom's face began to harden and sweat appeared on his forehead, but he didn't interrupt. Jo is an attractive woman with a very outgoing personality, so I struck up a conversation. It was a delightful 2 hours spent with someone I thought was single. I travel a lot for work and have never been married. I'd love to meet someone and settle down. So as you can imagine, I was drawn to a woman with Jo's looks and personality. 2 hours later, we ended up in bed together for the entire night. After that, we spent time together over the next 2 days while I was in town. Maybe I should have been suspicious about how perfectly our schedules aligned, but I was a bit dazzled by this charming lady for the past 2 months. I've seen her every time I've come to town 6 times for various reasons. We were physically close but also enjoyed sightseeing and other activities around the region. I thought I might be falling for a beautiful single woman with whom I could build a long-term relationship. By this point, Tom was staring at Joe, but he was still listening to me. Mr. Phelps, I have never knowingly slept with a married woman and never will. The reason I'm here with you today is as follows. About an hour ago, Joe revealed her lies to me. She told me she was married and has 2 sons. Joe said this would be our last weekend together because she feared you might be getting suspicious and she didn't want to put her family at risk. Joe buried her face in her hands and sobbed quietly. Joe, look at me. She didn't lift her eyes. I cocked the gun, making a chilling sound. Joe, look at me now. She looked up. Everything. I just told your husband. Is it true? She nodded. Say it. Yes, Sam. Everything you said is true. Tom was struggling to hold back tears of both sadness and rage. My time was running out. Mr. Felix, I'm going to leave in a minute, but before I go, I want you to know how deeply sorry I am for all of this. I was an unwitting part of something terrible. If I were married and my wife did this to me, I'm not sure how I'd react, but it wouldn't be with kindness or understanding. Be that as it may, I need to know if we're okay. I don't want to spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder. I want to find someone, settle down, and build a family despite your wife's betrayal. But I can't do that if I know there's a chance you might come after me someday. Damn. I wish I'd never met her, but I would never help anyone escape the consequences of such a vile betrayal and blatant disrespect. I hope my coming here today has shown you my character. Can I trust that I'm saved from you in this situation? Tom Phelps gritted his teeth, and turning away from his heartless, self-centered wife, he looked me in the eye. We're okay, good. I'm leaving. As I turned to leave, Joe lifted her head. Sam, would you really have shot me, or Tom, if he had reacted in rage? I shrugged and let out a sad chuckle. Well, Joe, it would have been hard considering it's just a shotgun and I didn't buy any shells. As I opened the front door to leave, I heard Joe say, Tom, baby, where are you going? We need to talk. Upstairs to pack your things. Adulterer, you're leaving. Thank you for listening until the end. See you in the next episode of Epic English. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Goodbye.